So it began a couple months ago when I just had the urge to start cleaning up. The Lord had been saying, you're going to move, you're going to move, and that had been for a few years. I've been hearing the Lord say, I'm going to move you, I'm going to move you. And years have gone by, and but I like to keep the place clean for when that time comes so that I don't leave a dirty space behind. So a couple months ago, I had the urge to clean. Thought about moving and started clean the rugs, clean the oven, just wipe the walls, just cleaning. And normally when I clean the floors, I just wash them, and then Swiffer, up dust, sweep, mop, and Swiffer. So, so that was a couple months ago. And then 2 weeks after cleaning the rugs and doing all of that cleaning, and I only clean the rugs maybe sometimes once a year, maybe twice, but it's like, once I clean it, you're looking at like 6, 8 months before I clean it again. So a couple weeks after I did all that cleaning, cleaned the rugs, the Lord was nudging me to clean the rugs. And so I said, okay, all right, Lord, I'll do it, and the oven. And I was like, all right, I thought I did all of this, but I'll do it again. And the Lord kept nudging me, and I kept procrastinating and putting it off. And then it was on the 11th, when the Sabbath came in, on the 11th at evening, that Friday, the Lord kind of put in my spirit a urgent message for me to clean the rugs again, and the oven and the fridge, and just clean everything up again. And so I started cleaning. Because that was urgent. I heard it loud and clear. So I started cleaning, and it took me maybe 2, 3 days. And so I had landlord-tenant court coming up the 21st. And so, I had been praying to the Lord to just, be there and do all the talking. He had already calmed me down and told me to be strong and of a good courage. So I felt nothing. He already told me, say very little and let me do the rest. So this was going to be an easy court date for me. But so I had been praying for him to be there in the court, speaking for everyone, and even including myself. And so the 11th came, and once the Sabbath was over, I started cleaning. It took me maybe 2, 3 days to really do another deep cleaning. It wasn't so bad since, not long before I had cleaned. But so did all of that, and then I said, it was around Wednesday, let's see, 11, 12, whatever that Wednesday is, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, I guess the 16th. And I started, talking to the Lord and saying, wow, you really had me do this big cleaning again. Are you coming? I was joking when I said, you must be coming to visit. Are you coming to visit the earth? And I chuckled at the thought that he would come down to this earth with all these wicked people. And to my surprise, what I got in the spirit was yes. I said, no way. So on the 18th, when the Sabbath came in, I sat at my kitchen table, the window I'm usually facing. Okay, so let's say I'm at the table here, and the window is here, and the front door you can see through the kitchen doorway. And so I was sitting at the kitchen window, and I'm looking up at the sky as the Sabbath is starting to come in. I'm looking up and I'm looking at the door like, is the Lord gonna come to my front door? So I'm like really excited, like, you're gonna come to my front door? And so that never happened, of course. But here's what I want to get to. So the 21st came. I had to be in court, landlord-tenant court. I'm the tenant. The landlord wants me out. God's will be done, so I don't worry about anything. But I get to court, and I'm there, and I'm like coaching and counseling other people and being that listening ear, and the shoulder to lean on. And so doing that, I'm like very mothering, so I mother everyone. So I'm there doing that, and then we get into the courtroom. They open up, we get in, and they make you watch a video about your rights and everything, blah 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 blah. All right, and so then they send us out into the hallway, and there's like some sessions, mediation. All right, so I'm sitting there waiting for mediation, and everybody's, the place is crowded. There's a lot of people there. And so I found a seat next to a woman, and she and I talked for a bit. Then I talked to the other person on the side of me. And then I got tired of sitting, so I went and stood up. Had my back against the wall near the ladies' room. All right? And so I'm looking at everyone. So a few people asked me a question, and I answered, told them where to go. And so then I happened to look to the side. You're looking around at everyone and, observing, and people look worried, and you're just, in my, I'm praying for everyone all the time. So in the spirit, I'm like, Lord help her, Lord help them. I see pregnant women. It's like, Lord, please help these people. And I'm looking left and right, and I had to do a double take because I saw a gentleman walking. He was an elder, dark like me, maybe a shade or two darker, but he's walking and he has a cane and he's taking his time. And I didn't look at his feet, but it seemed like he was gliding. I don't know, but he caught my attention, and something, I don't know what happened in me. I was just like, on the inside, I'm saying, I have to talk to this elder. He's so royal and regal, and he was shiny. His face was so shiny, and his cheeks were high. And so when he reached me, I could see on his T-shirt, he had on a navy blue T-shirt, and there was a company's name on it, a printing company. And so when he reached me, I said the name of his company, and I said, "Oh, you're in printing." And he looked at me. His moves were so slow and smooth. He just looked over at me, smiling, and he never stopped smiling. And he smiled, and he said, he went like that. He didn't say anything. He just went like that. And I said, "Oh, I like to print T-shirts, but I usually have someone else do it." I did order a printing machine, but, I kind of told him, like a month ago, I had given my printing machine away. So this was all true that I was saying to him. But I bought this printing machine, and I was too lazy to do the printing myself. It prints T-shirts and mugs and caps and and I'm going on. And I told him I gave it away because I was too lazy. So I just decided to pay someone else to print my T-shirts. And he laughed. He chuckled. And he didn't like laugh, but he was one of those, like the elders do. It was so cool. And so he did that. And then, so he said to me, "Well, we don't print, my company doesn't print T-shirts. The company I work for does not print T-shirts. We print for, I think he said shades and pools." I don't know what printing you could do, but this was printing and laminating for like blind shades and pools, swimming pools and stuff, whatever that is. So he explained that to me, and then I asked him. I said, "Well, have you passed, the works of your hands, the trade on to any of the young men that you know, so that they know how to do this work that you do?" And he said, "No." He said, And I said, "Well, if you go on YouTube and teach it in front of a camera, you could probably make a fortune. You'd have lots of followers, and you teaching would probably cause people to give, to donate to what you're teaching, so you could make a lot." And he went like this. He chuckled. He always had it was like this chuckle, like and his head would go down and up. He would look at me and turn back. And so so cool, the elders. And so we talked for a little bit, and then he said, well, I'm going to go find me a seat. And then he went and sat down. So my attention was off him, and so I'm back to everybody else, yada, yada, yada. And I was standing for so long that I said, well, let me find another seat on the bench. So I looked all around, and the only seat, I looked around, the court is huge, the floor is huge, so looked all around on every bench, and the only seat available was next to that elder. So then, here's how insane I was thinking, because I thought, okay, so he probably, if I go sit next to him, he'll probably think that I'm trying to, look for a sugar daddy. I don't know why I thought that, but that's what I thought. I'm just being honest here. So then I looked again and went all around, and that was and it was a big space next to him. No seats anywhere else. With all the seats in that court, on that floor, it's a round, it's a circular design. So seats are everywhere, benches. And the only space available to sit was next to the elder. And it was huge. Like, many people could sit next to him on that bench. So I said, you know what, Crystal, you're being silly. So I went and sat next down to the elder, and I looked at him and I said, I'm back. And he chuckled at that. And so people were going by, I didn't talk to him, I didn't bother him. But people were going by, and, I saw like a pregnant lady, and I, made her sit down next to me because she was just on a cell phone, like nervous about getting evicted. And I was like, sit down and calm down, take a breath, And so, so I was just talking. I was talking to some other young women who were being evicted from their apartment. And so after a while, I got called into mediation. And like the Lord said, I didn't say much. They were like, how much you got? I was like, nothing. The Lord took everything away. That's another story for another day. So I finished mediation. They said, well, if you don't have anything to give, you go up to trial. I said, where's the court for trial? Tell me where to go. I didn't say it like that, but I was like, okay, where do I go? So I went up to wait, and went inside the courtroom, was sitting. And, at some point, these court cases, you're watching everybody else before you go before the judge with their landlord next to them, so they're going back and forth. So lunchtime came before they could get to me. So went out for lunch, it's our lunch, went out for lunch, and I just went to hand out, I had some prayers that were printed up, and I went and put them in the mall on a table. I put some card holders on that table. I like to go there to put my business cards for royalfamilyliving.net. And when I was in real estate, I would put my sales card there for real estate. But I went to put some prayers that day, and to see if enough of my royalfamilyliving.net cards were there. And they were, so I didn't need to replace those, but added some prayers for people. Great prayer, by the way, spoken by someone on YouTube. And I actually typed it all up and printed a bunch of copies and left it for people. But okay, so 30 minutes, and I just walked around and then sat on the bench for a bit. And after 30 minutes, I just went back in. I said, I'll sit inside. The court is cool. It's hot outside. So I'll sit inside for 30 minutes. So I went up and sat. And after about 5 minutes, the elevator ding, ding, and off gets the elder. That beautiful elder. And he saw me, and all the seats were empty, but he came to me because I was the only one there. Everybody was out for lunch doing their thing. And so he came and sat next to me. And when I tell you, we talked about everything. He told me where he was from, and he had a brother with a company in Pennsylvania, because I told him I was thinking about moving to Philadelphia. He has 2 sisters in Philadelphia. We just talked about everything. I told him, I shared all my big ideas about when we were downstairs before we went up to trial. I looked at all of the people and I was saying to the Lord, wouldn't it be nice if we could all pool whatever money we have together and buy a huge mansion and just live happily ever after without rent? You know, these were things that I was thinking in my head. So when the elder came in and we were sitting waiting for court to go back into session, I shared that with him. I shared a lot with him, you know, of what all the great things that I want to do to help others. And we just talked about everything. My goodness. I mean, he shared so much with me and I shared so much with him. And so when we were getting up, we thought that one of the ladies that worked in the court, I think she was the court secretary or, you know, the judge's secretary, I forgot what their title was, but we saw her coming in and we thought she was going to open the door and let us in. So I got up and he started to get up and he started to stumble. And so I went to reach to catch him. And he was still bent over, and the smile on that man's face was so warm, as if to say, she was really going to catch me. She cares about me. That's what that warm smile said. And his head went down, and it came back up, and he looked at me in that smile. So we realized that, you know, she wasn't, the woman just cut the corner and went somewhere in the back somewhere. So he and I stood next to each other waiting, and it didn't take long, maybe 3 minutes later, the court officer opened the court doors. So we went in, and I sat in the first row, and the elder was behind me, and he kind of sat a distance from me. So, you know, I didn't think anything of it. All right. Then I felt him scoot over, and I looked over at him. He came a little closer. And I'm looking at the judge and seeing what's going on. They're trying to get their computer and everything back up. And then he slid all the way close to me. And I looked and he was right here next to me. And I smiled at him. And so court's going on and there were some other cases in front of me. So finally they get to my attorney. They said, counsel, what are you here for today? And he said where I rent, their name, and my name. And so I stood up. Actually, I stood up as soon as they said to him, counsel, what are you here for today? I stood up, you know, before he could even say my name. And then I looked down, and the elder was gone, except he never got up. The people on the left of me, they got up. Every time somebody got up, I looked. Every time somebody got up, every time they moved, the man next to me moved, I got up. I didn't get up, but did I say got up? Not got up, but I looked over. But the elder never even moved. But when I looked down, he was gone. It was just an empty space. And I didn't really think anything of it, too much of it. Not at that moment, because I was being called up. So I get called up, and my attorney said to the judge, oh, this is going to be fast. So I go up, and it was fast. And the judge wished me luck, and my attorney, and even where I rent, my landlords are so nice, they wish me luck. And so I leave, and I go home. And it wasn't until 2 days later, that was on Monday, I had court the 21st, the 23rd, when I went to bed, I'm laying in bed, and I said, Lord, I was hoping, I know you're here visiting because I could feel your presence on earth, but I was hoping that you would come to this front door and visit me. It would have been nice to see you. And then I saw a vision of the man. Flash. First once. And I kind of cocked my head while I was laying in the bed, like, why is this man flashing? And then again, just looking at me. So I knew that that was God. He was in the court talking to me. God was on the earth last week from the 18th. Okay, so once he showed me that and shared that with me, that that was him, I cried in my bed. I don't know how long. I couldn't even go to sleep. I'm sure my daughters were in their room like, what is wrong with her? You know? But just to know that he was here and he sat with me and he talked with me. And I got to share so much with him. Okay, so here's what I want to say. That was the 23rd. On the 25th, the Sabbath was coming in. I was sitting at the kitchen table again. And I said, Lord, are you extending your stay? I'm looking up at the sky. Lord, are you going to extend your stay or are you going back? And then all of a sudden, the sky, the colors in the sky changed. And the clouds began all of these beautiful formations. And next thing I know, I don't know where my daughter came from, but she was on near my shoulder and she was looking up with me. She was like, whoa, look at that sky. And I was like, I know. And I knew that was God going back, you know, back to his throne. So, and so that was the 25th. And then a couple days ago, I just, you know, I'm talking with the Lord and he shared with me that he found more people doing good. He said there's more bad people on the earth, but he could see that there were so many good people and he was pleased with us. He said there's more bad people than good people. But he found us, that's what he said. Okay, I'm saying this all wrong. I'm saying what what I came up with. But what God said is that we are worthy to be saved. That's what God said. There's so many that are worthy to be saved. I'm just telling you what he said. God was here. God was here.